I'll give it a minute for people to join. If you're just joining us, the props that you'll be needing tonight is a chair and maybe a block. And we're going to give it a minute for people to join before we start. Hello. Again, if you're just joining us, the props that you'll need is a chair and maybe a block. We're going to do a chair yoga flow tonight, incorporating some yin poses. Give it a minute. Again, we're using a chair for our flow tonight, and we might need a block in some of the poses. So if you're already on your mat, we're going to start standing before we hop into our chair. We'll be in our mountain pose. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, my name is Christy Tennell from Compassionate Connections, joining Yoga Moves us tonight in a chair yoga flow with some yin moves. You'll need a chair and a block tonight. And we're going to start in standing in mountain pose with our feet rooted in the ground, our spine nice and strong, rooted and rising as our shoulders are melting away from our ears. Letting the crown of your head float to the sky, looking forward as if gazing towards the sunset, reminding yourself how strong you are, how grounded you are in this moment, or want to be. And we're breathing here for a couple rounds of cleansing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. One more cleansing breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we're going to slowly extend our arms so we look like a T. And we're going to slowly sway side to side, grazing the cheek from right to left. Keeping those arms lifted, letting our hips twist side to side. We're letting go of any extra energy we may be carrying from the day before we sit in our chair. Maybe you want to link your breath with your movement here. As you're twisting one way, you inhale. And as you twist the other, you exhale. Gently let gravity hang heavy on your arms as you let them float next to your side, gently swaying by your hips as you continue to twist side to side. Allowing your arms to follow your motion. Linking your breath in the movement if that feels right for you. Remember, throughout this practice, if nothing or anything feels uncomfortable, you have the power, you have the choice to pop out into a pose or posture that feels right for you. We're going to Slowly come back to center from the swaying. And on our next inhale, we're going to lift our arms up into extended mountain, interlacing our fingers and bending to the left. Breathing here for a couple rounds, noticing any tension you may be carrying in your hips or your torso during the side bend. And on your next exhale, push the left hip out to the side as you bend over to the right. In your side bend, feeling any differences in the left and right torso. And on your next breath, release and come back to center, relaxing your fingers back down to your side. Now we're going to start incorporating our chair. We're going to do a downward dog with our chair. So you want to take about a step away from your chair. We want to be hinging where we're 90 degrees. So once you find your position, you're going to exhale, hinge your hips forward towards your chair, reaching for the edges, slight micro bend in the knees, letting your head dangle. Maybe walking out your downward dog, bending one knee at a time, bending both knees if that feels good. And this is one of the poses that we'll be working on for a couple minutes. You can hold onto the edge of the chair. If you'd like to deepen the pose, you can come onto your forearms. Knees can be bent if you'd like. Breathing into any tight areas of your body, using your breath to create space. Allowing your inhale to soften your body. Allowing your exhale to let go of whatever isn't serving you in this moment. Maybe noticing the sensations you may feel in your lower back, or your hamstrings, or your calves. Just taking those sensations in as information for your body. No judgment or criticism. Meeting yourself with kindness tonight as we unwind with our yoga flow. We'll breathe here for a couple more rounds of breaths. Now on your next inhale, slowly and gently start to push yourself upright, back to mountain pose. Hinging yourself, lifting yourself back up. And this is where we transition to our chair, where we get a little bit grounded, finding your sit bones in your seat, your feet grounded, rooted to the ground. Shoulders relaxed from the ears. And here you can place your hands on your thighs, maybe one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, maybe prayer position. Find what feels good for you. Explore how touch feels to you in this moment. We're going to deepen our awareness around our breath. Noticing our inhale in this moment. The quality, the temperature, the pace. As you slowly exhale and release out of your nose or mouth. Remind yourself of what you'd like to let go during your practice tonight. Allow your exhale to carry that out. Maybe with each round of inhale and exhale, we start to sip in a little bit deeper, expanding into our rib cage, maybe into our belly. And as we exhale, we notice how our body falls back to itself. Allowing your breath to be your anchor in your practice tonight. Allow it to nourish you. Allow it to ground you. Returning back to your breath whenever you have distractions, any sensations or feelings that come up for you, allow them to float away just for the moment. Placing them on a leaf on a stream, or in a cloud on a breezy day, we allow them to just float away just for the moment. And if these sensations, feelings, thoughts, distractions pop up once again, and they will, we will simply practice the art of letting go once again. Using our breath to release. And on our next inhale, maybe think of an intention for your practice tonight. What you'd like to receive more of. Maybe more peace, more happiness or love. Allowing your breath to breathe life into your intention. Breathing here for a couple more breaths to get grounded, to feel more present, to drop deeper into our center. On your next exhale, you can release your hands if they were in prayer or on your body, letting them comfortably lay on your lap. As we extend our right leg forward and out in our single leg stretch, we'll hold for about a minute here, pushing that heel forward, having those toes point forward. can be a time where you can use props like a strap, or if you'd like to hold yourself up by your thigh or your shin. Those are different variations and options you can take to hold the stretch. Allowing your breath to breathe into this pose, keeping steady. Maybe we wiggle our toes here a little bit, adding some movement into the stretch. And finally, adding some slow rolls to your ankle, holding strong in the stretch and rolling your ankles one direction. And we'll slowly pause and roll our ankles the other direction. And we'll float this leg back down to the ground. Switching sides to the left leg, reaching out, pushing that ankle into the wall, toes are pushed up towards the ceiling, using a strap or your hands to lift your leg up if that needs any support, as we hold here for about a minute. Staying grounded in your seat, nice and tall spine, allowing your shoulders to relax. Noticing the quality of your breath. Be adding some movement, gentle wiggles to the toes. Maybe start adding some rotations to your ankle, rolling them one direction. Taking a pause, rolling your ankle in the opposite direction for balance. And floating that foot back down when you're ready. We're gonna do some tippy toes stretches. So grounded feet, lifting onto the toes, holding this stretch for a couple seconds before floating your heels back down. We'll do this for a couple breaths, linking your movement and your breath together. Maybe as you lift your toes, you're inhaling. And as you're exhaling, you're rocking back down. Slowly come to a pause, feet are grounded. We'll work on some upper body stretches, moving into cactus arms, extending arms out, spreading palms open, chest stretching wide. And as we inhale, we'll push our chest out into cow. Feeling the back bend in our lower back. as we hold this pose for some breaths. Keeping your cactus arms strong in your cow pose. And on your next exhale, you'll round your back, tucking your chin in, looking towards your belly button in cat. Breathing here for a couple breaths. And on your next inhale, pushing that chest out, pressing those shoulder blades together, spreading those fingers wide, looking up to the sky in cow. We'll hold here for a little longer. And on your next exhale, we're rounding our back, tucking our chin in, looking at our belly button in cat. Keeping those active cactus arms. And on your next inhale, we're arching that back, pushing that chest forward into our last cow. We'll be looking over our left shoulder and right shoulder slowly, relieving any extra tension we may be carrying in our neck. And on your next exhale, we're letting go of our arms, shaking out our arms a bit, shaking out our wrists. And we're going to move into a wide-legged swooping eagle pose. So you're going to straddle your chair in your wide leg stance, toes pointing out. You're going to extend your arms out, both your arms out, and swoop the right arm under the left arm and clasp them closed into eagle arms. And on your next exhale, you're going to hinge forward and swoop in your forward fold. Breathing here, noticing your breath. Feeling the stretch in your shoulder blades, maybe in your lower back, as we hold in this forward fold. Breathing here for a couple more breaths before we switch sides. And on your next inhale, you're going to hinge yourself up, slowly unraveling your arms, shaking them out a bit, extending them both out, switching both sides, so we're floating the left arm underneath the right arm, clasping it closed in eagle arms, and again we're swooping down to our forward fold for about a minute. On your next exhale, hinging forward from the hips until you feel comfortable in your fold, letting your head dangle if that feels right for you. Noticing the differences in your eagle arms and in your fold from the left and right side. Breathing here for a couple more rounds. And on your next inhale, you're swooping back up, extending your arms outward, releasing from your eagle, shaking out your arms. You're going to do a tricep stretch. You can stay in your wide leg stance or you can close them, whatever is comfortable, but we'll be staying in our wide-legged stance for a few more poses. We're going to do our tricep stretch, so taking that right arm behind your head, letting your left hand graze your right elbow as it guides it down your shoulder blades. Breathing here, noticing any tightness you may feel in your shoulders or your neck. Keeping the chin lifted if possible. Spine nice and tall. Returning back to your breath or your intention. If you feel distracted, using your breath to come back to the present moment. Noticing what your thoughts and feelings may come up when asked to sit in stillness. What may come up if faced with discomfort. Just noting that as information from your mind. Breathing here for a couple more breaths. And on your next exhale, slowly unravel and release from your tricep stretch. Shaking out your arms. You're going to guide that left arm behind your head, allowing your right hand to guide it down your shoulder blades and hold it in place. Keeping your chin lifted, expanding your chest. Breathing here for a minute. Noticing any differences in tightness of the shoulder blades. Breathing into those tight spaces to make more space. And exhaling out nice and gently to soften. Breathing here for a couple more breaths. And on your next exhale, you're going to slowly unravel from your tricep stretch. Shake it out a bit. I'm going to do one more arm stretch. We're going to do cross arm, where we take the left arm across the body, using the right arm to lift. We can slowly raise our cheek across the room if you'd like to twist into this cross arm stretch, or you can look forward. Find what's accessible for your neck tonight. Feeling the pull on your upper back, upper shoulder. Noticing any tightness you may be carrying there. Breathing here for a couple more breaths. And on your next exhale, slowly unravel, shake out your arms, and allow yourself to cross your right arm across your chest, having your left hand support your cross arm stretch. Looking over your shoulder, looking forward, whatever feels good in this stretch for you in this moment. Maybe exploring with some slight movement. Noticing the differences you may have in this shoulder or this upper back stretch. Breathing here for a couple more breaths. And on your next exhale, slowly unravel from your cross arm stretch, shaking out your arms. We're going to move into our side bends. So taking the left hand to rest on your right thigh. And as you inhale, you'll scoop your right hand up and over to the left in your seated side bend. You can look forward, you can look down. You can look up, maybe you add some movement before you add some stillness. Breathing into your torso, breathing into your hips and your sit bones as you hold in your side bend. Breathing here, checking in with yourself. Noticing how you are during this time of your practice. We're breathing here for a couple more breaths. And on your next exhale, you'll float your hand back down to your side. And we're switching sides, so right hand will be resting on your left thigh. And on your next inhale, you're scooping that left arm up and over to your right in your seated side bend. Remember, your neck is looking down, looking forward or up. Maybe you take some half moon circles or full moon circles to your neck before allowing it to find stillness. Noticing the differences you feel on this side of the torso, on this hip flexor, on this arm. Breathing here for a couple more rounds of breath. Allowing your meditation to deepen as we slow down our practice even deeper. And on your next exhale, you're going to float that hand back down to the side. Placing both hands on your lap. Shifting your stance to widen into goddess pose. Straddling that chair. Toes pointing outward. And this is when you can reach for a block as we move into a goddess twist. So you can place the block to the inside of your foot. And as we hinge forward with our exhale, we can reach for the block with our right arm. And as we twist open with our left arm to the sky, heart opening to the wall, hand to the ceiling, or as high as you'd like to rise it. And breathing here and checking in with your breath. I'm breathing here for a couple more rounds. And on your next inhale, you're going to gently lift yourself out of your twist and back to seated and center. You're going to move that block, if you need it, to the inside of your left foot. You're going to reach for your block with your left hand. And as you inhale, you'll float your right arm to the sky, opening the chest, opening up your heart in your goddess twist. Noticing the differences you feel in your spine as you twist from the left and right. Breathing here for a couple more rounds of breath. On your next inhale, you'll gently push yourself out of the twist, floating your hands back down into your lap. We'll move into our chair pigeon pose, our final pose before our final resting pose. So different variations. You can start here, extending your right leg out, foot flat on the ground. You can cross your leg as such. This can be enough for some people. If you'd like to deepen your pigeon, you can create that figure 4 by placing your ankle onto your right thigh. And if that feels good, you can stay there. And if you'd like to deepen your stretch a little more, you can forward fold. So finding your variation of the chair pigeon. We'll stay here for about 3 minutes, our longest pose yet. Remember, returning back to your breath and your intention. Whenever you find your mind wandering. Taking notice of any sensations that feel uncomfortable. Remember not to push yourself to any painful moments. But finding gentleness and ease within ourselves tonight. Allowing yourself to soften with each round of breath, to deepen into the pose. Holding here for a couple more rounds of breath. On your next inhale, if you're folded over, you can gently lift yourself from your fold. Slowly extend that left leg out, wiggle it out, loosen it up a bit, before gently floating it back down to the ground. Again, we're going to switch sides so you can extend that left foot out and cross it with your right leg. If you'd like to deepen the stretch, we'll lift the ankle onto the thigh to create the figure four. And another option to deepen into your pigeon is to fold over. Settling into our pigeon pose. We'll hold here for a couple minutes. Noticing the differences you may feel in your left and right hip flexor. Usually it's tighter on one side for the other. My right side is definitely tighter than the other side. Meeting yourself with compassion and kindness. Realizing how much our body does for us throughout the day. And breathing into those tight spaces to give it some nurture. Breathing here for a couple more rounds of breath. And after you're folded, on your next inhale, gently lift yourself up to seated, unraveling from your pigeon and your figure four, shaking out that right leg to loosen it up at the hip. And here we move into our final resting pose. So you can either do it on the chair or the option to lay on the ground with legs up on the chair. So I'll be resting in that final resting pose, but I'll show how it'll look in the chair. So you'll scooch a little bit to the edge as if you're slouching in your seat, resting your shoulders back on the edge of the chair, letting your head hang back, hands facing up or down in your lap, extending your legs out as much as you'd like. And you can rest here. Or if you'd like to lay on the mat for the next couple minutes, you can find your way onto your back on the mat, lifting those legs up, letting your calves rest on the seat of the chair as your legs are lifted up in your final resting pose. So we'll rest here for a few minutes in our final resting pose. Maybe doing a final body scan from your head, wiggling out your forehead, wiggling out your jaw, allowing your shoulders to rest away from your ears. Your hands falling on or off onto your body, whatever's most comfortable for you. Letting those hips grow heavy, your spine hug the ground. Letting your feet flop open and grow heavy with gravity as you deepen with your breath. Nourishing yourself into your final resting pose, enjoying the benefits of your practice tonight. I'll slowly guide you back with the sound of a bell. Enjoy the next couple of minutes. start to deepen your breath to bring yourself back to the present moment. Wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Maybe giving yourself a good morning stretch up above the head, whether you're on the ground or in your chair. And in the chair, maybe you start to scooch up back to seated. And if you're laying, find your way back onto your side, pushing yourself up into a seated position with hands to heart center, thumbs pressing to yourself, connecting yourself to yourself with a slight bow in gratitude. Expressing gratitude for your body, carrying you through your practice tonight. Expressing gratitude for yourself for choosing self-care tonight. And expressing gratitude for the community of Yoga Moves Us as we create this space to enjoy the healing benefits of yoga tonight. Slightly bowing a little deeper, expressing gratitude to ourselves and one another. Thank you. I hope you all had a restful practice and a restful evening as well. Thank you for joining me tonight, and Yoga Moves Us.